the leader in talk radio on the Internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Alright folks, this is Rick Robinson with you. I want to tell you about some friends of mine from a company called Security Enforcement Specialists. When I ran my security agency for 12 years, I worked with one of these partners on a daily basis. He's been involved in this agency now, and with his other partner, they do have over 30 years of experience in the private security industry. If you own a business and you need someone to keep you or your customers or residents safe, then I highly recommend contacting Security Enforcement Specialists today. Give them a call at 405-703-1796. Again, that's 405-703-1796. Again, tell them Rick from K98 Talk sent you. Like I said, if you need the help, they are here for you. So make sure that you go look them up, check them out, and see what they can do.
Wrong way. Welcome to the place.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Wow. Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get started.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please? America Off the Rails has been declared a conservatives-only safe zone. Only conservatives allowed from this point forward. Any liberal, socialist, butthurt, hippie, tree huggers, please exit the facility immediately. Again, attention please. America Off the Rails is now designated as a conservative safe zone only. All butthurt, tree-hugging, hippie, free-to-be, you and me types exit the facility immediately. Thank you.
We will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan. Period.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
Oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Don't expect us to admit a mistake. We're paying off election.
Keep on doing what you do, Rick. You're my favorite host.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
All right, folks, this is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. It's Monday night. The beginning of another work week is done. About the same time last week, actually exactly the same time last week, we were celebrating the birth of our nation and our independence, and then, as usually happens, the world went to crap and we were left watching, wondering, scratching our heads, wondering how we got here. That's right, folks. We're going to spend a lot of time, actually the entire show tonight, talking about the recent situation in Dallas, what led up to it, what we can hopefully maybe do to fix it. But the honest truth of it is, folks, our world is changing, whether we want to admit it or not. And these recent outbursts and attacks against police officers prove that our world is changing. Public perception and public opinion of police officers has been changing over the last 15 to 20 years. I speak to people on a daily basis that view the police as their enemy. They don't think the police can be trusted. I hear them use words like police are the first and only organized gang that was legally allowed to exist, which couldn't be further from the truth. But the problem is, in this day and age, perception is reality. So the problem that we have is, from the jump, the police already have a negative connotation, because we have so many people that have been raised by folks that didn't trust the police, honestly don't trust much of anybody, so the first thing they do when they see the police is treat them as if they're an enemy, not someone who's actually honestly here to help them. Now, I can't say whether that was an issue in the Dallas situation, because I've heard a lot of different takes on it, so I'm just going to give you mine tonight, and then we're going to play some clips that go along with it and talk about it a little more, because I've seen some very odd things, I've seen some interesting things, and I've seen some downright crazy things come out of this Dallas shooting situation. One of them was a gentleman who basically was on Sean Hannity, and we'll play a clip of him speaking here in just a little bit, stating that it's never been illegal for a black person to be murdered in the United States. Again, nothing could be further from the truth. But again, for these people, a lot of times perception is reality. They view the police officers as enemies, and they also think that their lives don't matter as much as everyone else's. The thing about that is, folks, though, if you really stop and think about it, everybody has that thought. Most of us don't voice it, but we look at other people and we see the things they have and the things that we don't have, and sometimes we look at them and say, why is it that they seem to matter more than I do? And I can't say for a certainty that 100% of you listening to this show tonight, or this replay, or this rebroadcast on any of the affiliates, have had that thought, but I guarantee you at least most of you have probably had it more than once. At least once. That sometimes it feels like our lives don't matter as much as everyone else's. And that's part of the problem, because we all feel this way, but nobody talks about it. It's the same with a lot of things in life. We don't talk about things until they get to the point where there is an underlying festering anger. Then we decide, by God, somebody's going to listen to us, and we lash out to whoever's in range, and we make them listen. This is what the BLM movement is doing. You know, regardless of what anybody wants to tell you, the protest in Dallas was legitimate. You may not necessarily agree. You have the right to disagree with what I'm telling you. The protest itself in Dallas was legitimate. There were some situations that when you look at them from first blush, they look very, very questionable. One of them, after doing a lot of research, I'm not sure was questionable. I honestly don't think the one in Louisiana was an issue. I do have issues with the other shooting. I'm not going to get into that now because I'm still digging into it, but I will tell you that my gut reaction is one was okay because I understand the situation. The other, I'm still not so sure. But I will tell you that even as a white man at the age of 43 who now has majority grown children, when my children were younger, I told them the very same thing that I hear all of these people of color saying that they have to tell their children. That doesn't have anything to do with race. That's common sense. When and if you are ever stopped by the police, do what they tell you to do. Don't do anything until they tell you to do it. Those are common sense things. If you do not do those things, you do run the risk of possibly escalating a situation and making it into something that it didn't necessarily need to be. Now, I will tell you, having been someone who's done a number of traffic stops in my lifetime, the first thing that I always do, if anyone tells me that they have a gun on their person, I ask them to step out of the car. I don't know why the officer in the second shooting, when he was made aware of the fact that the other party did have a concealed carry weapon and a permit, didn't ask them to get out of the car. The other thing that I will typically do is I will tell them to not move until I direct them to move so that I know that they're not going to do anything. That includes reaching for ID, keys, whatever the case may be. Keep your hands where I can see them until I tell you what it is that I want you to do. Now, I cannot and will not judge this officer because I don't know what happened before the part of the video that we can see. But having seen the part of the video that I have seen, I have several issues with it. One, he seems like he was not in control of his faculties from the beginning. That is a big problem for me. As a police officer, you have to have a high level of stress control. This gentleman, for whatever reason, seemed like he was pushed past the breaking point from the point where we start being allowed to see the video. Now, that does mean that there were probably several minutes of conversation that we didn't get to see, so I don't know what caused him to get to the point where he was that escalated. But what I do know is, again, and I'm not passing any judgment on anyone because I haven't seen the video all the way through, and I haven't watched it and dissected it and taken it apart like anyone would who's even remotely done this type of work in the past and put themselves in that officer's position and say, would I do the same thing? And I can't answer that question. But what we are going to answer tonight is What's happening in Dallas? What's the aftermath? What was the intent? And did it work as intended for the shooter? Because I have to say, I don't think so. Shooters, not sure. The original stories were at least 2, possibly more shooters. Now, of course, they've downgraded it to where there was only the 1. I'm not sure I believe that. Not trying to put my tinfoil hat on, but I find it really hard to believe that one person could have caused quite that much chaos, at least for that extended period of time. But that's neither here nor there. For the sake of this particular broadcast, we'll actually probably get into that some more on another show. But one of the things that I want to talk about tonight, and then we're going to delve into this a little bit more and let you hear some of the things that I've been able to uncover, is what did the shootings in Dallas accomplish? Because I don't think they accomplished what the shooter thought they were going to. I don't think they accomplished what they wanted them to. Because what I have seen, which I haven't seen in any of these other incidents that have happened over the past several, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, it seems like there's one of these of some sort or another every summer. The community came together. The community didn't completely implode. There was no rioting. There was no looting. It was simply put, the community said, we're not letting that happen here. And that's the thing that we can learn, because like I said in the beginning of the show, our world is changing. We have to decide whether we're going to change with it or whether we're going to try to hold on to the world as we know it. I know what my vote is, because the one thing that I've always told my children, and the thing that I'm about to tell you, is fear is a natural part of life. We are afraid from the moment we're born until the moment that we die. The question is, what do we do about that fear? Do we succumb to it and let ourselves be holed up in our homes, never accomplishing anything, never going outside, never getting to know anyone, always afraid that we're going to be rejected, bullied, beat up, hurt, killed, worse? Or do we rise above the fear and realize that fear is a part of who we are, but it doesn't have to mandate who we are? And I think that's part of where we are failing as a nation, because we have started letting fear mandate who we are. It's been going on now for quite some time. That needs to change, because we all have fear. We can all be led by fear. We can all be controlled by fear. But when we let that happen, we lose. This is why I've been fighting the Trump campaign from its inception nearly, because I realized that what he was doing was using fear tactics and scare tactics and ways to make you feel like America sucks and only he can make it better again. He's been leading through fear. The Obama administration has been leading through fear. They have politicized every single one of these incidents that involve black people being shot by police officers. They don't talk about the hundreds of people that die every week by black-on-black violence. No, none of those things matter. The only thing that matters is when the cops do it. I mean, folks, this is going to sound bad, but I'm just going to be completely honest with you. And again, this is only from my background, so you can take what I'm about to say and you can run with it or you cannot. The simple fact of the matter is, if the police really wanted the people of color in this country dead, all they would have to do is pull back and not police their neighborhoods, because eventually they would either kill themselves off or rise above and overcome the fact that they keep trying to kill one another. And I don't say that out of hate. I don't say that out of bigotry. I want you to understand how simple it would be if these people honestly wanted the people of color in this country dead, how easy it would be to do. Because all they would have to do is say, we're just not going to go into those neighborhoods anymore. Now, the reason I bring that up, and we'll have some audio of that in a moment as well, there's actually a gentleman who basically advocates just that the black community needs to go to its own currency, its own banks, its own stores, possibly even its own police forces, so that they can feel like they get the treatment that they deserve. That's right, folks. Remember how I said the world was changing? We have people of color now advocating for segregation again after their ancestors fought so hard to get it removed. But we're actually going to start playing some of the audio now, only because I've prattled on long enough. The first thing we're going to listen to here is actually a little bit of an overview about the situation the other night, and then we'll have a few statements. We've got some from Obama, we've got one from Clinton, we've got one from Trump, and then we have some audio from protesters. So we're going to start with the overview, and that's going to run right about now.
Garage on the second floor, we believe, is one of the shooters, and we are negotiating with that person as we speak. So I'm going to have to get back real quick, but we do know what happened is that at least two snipers, from elevated positions as the protest rally march ended, began firing upon our officers, ambush style, and shot what we believe at this point 11 officers. We've confirmed one more since we put out the initial 10. 11 officers were shot, and 3 are deceased. Some shot in the back. We believe that these suspects were positioning themselves in a way to triangulate on these officers from two different perches in garages in the downtown area, and planned to injure and kill as many law enforcement officers as they could. We are reaching out to the families of all these officers and getting them transported to the hospital, so we'll ask for your prayers for these families. And we ask that you give our officers strength to catch these suspects and bring them to justice tonight. If anyone has information about these suspects, please call the Dallas Police Department. Call 911 and give us that information so we can bring these people to justice. We also believe that these suspects have threatened to plant a bomb in the downtown area. We have reached out to our federal law enforcement partners, both the FBI and the ATF, to help us search for both these suspects, or maybe it's more, and to do a very thorough search of this area where we believe there might be a bomb planted. And again, I'll quickly take some questions, but I want to remind you, we've got one of these suspects cornered, and I need to get back and take care of the business of protecting this city. So
let me finish, and then we'll take the questions. Okay. I ask everybody to focus on one thing right now, and that is our Dallas police officers, their families, those that are deceased, those that are in the hospital, fighting for their lives. Let's all come together and support our police officers. I've never been as proud. I believe we've got one of the best forces in the nation, and we've done things with civil rights in the right way, and we've done it for the safety of our citizens. So please, let's come together right now as a city. Let's take some questions.
Chief, talk about the pictures you guys want put out. Who are these people you're looking for in the pictures? They handed a bunch of these out.
Right. We wanted to show a person of interest who witnesses at the scene say were involved in this shooting in some way. So this is a person of interest. As you can see, they're in camouflage, and they have a rifle strap slung with a rifle, but say were. And we know that rifles were used to injure and kill Dallas officers and a Dart officer. And so if anyone knows or recognizes this picture, please immediately call 911. Do not approach this suspect. We'll bring him to justice.
Chief, I'm sorry, to get the numbers straight, there's 10 Dallas police officers that have been shot, 3 Dallas police officers deceased, 1 Dart officer and 4 Dart officers shot, or does that include the 10 or also Dart
right,
officers?
So again, the initial release was we had 10 officers shot. One of those officers is a Dart officer, and they're deceased. Another Dart officer was injured, but not deceased. There's 2 Dallas officers deceased. And as I mentioned, to update you, from that initial 10, we've had an additional officer to bring the total to 11. Any other questions?
And we also have one civilian that was shot.
Yes.
Wounded or killed?
Wounded.
We're wounded.
Any other questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll get back with you guys.
All right, so there you heard one of the press conferences shortly after the events that led up to the Dallas shooting. Now, we're going to change gears for a second. I'm going to let you hear first a brief snippet of President Obama's remarks, and we're going to talk a little bit about that because I really don't have too much to say about the police chief's remarks other than I think overall the Dallas PD did a really good job. The only thing that I wish, again, and this is background-based, is that they hadn't caved to public opinion and public peer pressure and had let the folks that were doing the crowd control wear their body armor. I'm sorry, I know folks don't like seeing police officers that look like military, but with as much as public perception has shifted about the police and the fact that they are now basically targets and they need to come to the realization of that, I think it is in their best interest to make sure that if there are going to be large groups of people that they're there to protect, they do their best to make sure that they not only protect them, but protect themselves. And that does mean that, in my opinion, they should have had on their body armor. But that's all I'm going to say about that. All right, so let's move forward to blah, 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 talking about the Dallas shooting.
We still don't know all the facts. What we do know is that there has been a vicious, calculated, and despicable attack on law enforcement. Police in Dallas were on duty doing their jobs, keeping people safe during peaceful protests. These law enforcement officers were targeted, and nearly a dozen officers were shot. 5 were killed. Other officers and at least 1 civilian were wounded. Some are in serious condition, and we are praying for their recovery. As I told Mayor Rawlings, I believe that I speak for every single American when I say that we are horrified over these events and that we stand united with the people and the police department in Dallas. According to police, there are multiple suspects. We will learn more, undoubtedly, about their twisted motivations. But let's be clear, there's no possible justification for these kinds of attacks or any violence against law enforcement. The FBI is already in touch with the Dallas police, and anyone involved in these senseless murders will be held fully accountable. Justice will be done. I will have more to say about this as the facts become more clear. For now, let me just say that even as yesterday I spoke about our need to be concerned as all Americans about racial disparities in our criminal justice system, I also said yesterday that our police have an extraordinarily difficult job, and the vast majority of them do their job in outstanding fashion. I also indicated the degree to which we need to be supportive of those officers who do their job each and every day, protecting us and protecting our communities. Today is a wrenching reminder of the sacrifices that they make for us. We also know that when people are armed with powerful weapons, unfortunately it makes attacks like these more deadly and more tragic. And in the days ahead, we're going to have to consider those realities as well.
I wondered how long it would take for him to bring it back around to weaponry. Not that he seems to, or I guess he seems to forget that the rifle supposedly used in this instance was Vietnam era. So not necessarily the type of weaponry that they're talking about today. Also, I have to at least say one nice thing for once about the president. He did actually say some positive things about the police. Normally in instances like this, he's usually the first one to say that they overreacted, they reacted stupidly, they're ill-trained, they don't know what they're doing. So it was nice to hear him actually sound almost presidential for about 2 seconds, and then he had to make it about the weapons again. Look, I don't know. I mean, I know where the majority of my audience stands when it comes to gun control. diametrically opposed. At least except for my version of gun control, which is the ability to hit what you're aiming at. That's the only type of gun control that matters. But the simple fact of the matter is, these weapons that the narrative keeps being brought back to, they are inanimate objects. It's not like an AR-15 or a SIG or any other type of rifle can hop itself up, or just kind of hop out the door and go randomly start shooting people. It takes a person to make this happen. And when you have people that are willing to do harm to others to prove a point, or just because they're angry, then it's not going to matter what type of weaponry they can get a hold of. They're still going to do everything that they can to cause harm to others. Need I remind you that the very first murder on planet Earth was committed with a rock? If someone has murder in their heart, you're not going to stop them from committing it by making the people that are willing and able to follow the law have the inability to defend themselves using firearms. And that is where this is going. Look, I'll be the first one to tell you that over the last several years, I have listened to a lot of people that have made these tinfoil arguments about gun control, gun confiscation, martial law, all of the above. I have to tell you, I don't really see them quite so much as tinfoil hat arguments anymore. Remember, go back to what we were just talking about. There has been an incident like this nearly every year that the president has been in office. Every year there has been some sort of a backlash and an outrage against the police that has resulted in the death of people or the destruction of property or both. Every year this has happened. And you tell me it's coincidence? I don't think so. Now, do I honestly know for 100% certain that he's going to do something to declare martial law? No. I mean, nobody could know that. There's no way to know for sure if it's going to happen. But I've seen lots of stories that have started being broken about the fact that apparently there may be a plan in the works. And I used to discount those type of stories. I really did. You know, I don't want to be Alex Jones. I don't want to be the next George Norrie. That's not who I am. It's not who I try to be. But when you see things like this, and you see the public's reactions to things like this, and you hear crazy people saying some of the things that I've heard, we're going to change gears. Just for a second, I want you to hear this, man. I want you to hear this. He said this. This was on Sean Hannity. I believe it was the 8th. They were doing a special in the area, and Sean had one of his man on the street guys going around and asking questions. And we'll get into that in a minute too, because I don't necessarily like what Sean Hannity was doing when it came to the way he kept asking this poor guy to ask the questions. But one of the responses they got was this.
Hey, let me ask you this. When has it ever been illegal for a black man to get killed in the United States? They throwed us off of ships. They hung us from trees. Now they shooting us whenever they want. If a black cop started randomly killing white people, there would not be any more black officers on their law enforcement. White cops can kill black people whenever they want to, but they need to answer.
All right, so there you have that. White cops can kill black people whenever they want to, but if a black cop was to do that, then there would be pandemonium in the streets, not to mention the fact that apparently, according to this gentleman, it's never been illegal to kill a black man. Last I checked, murder was murder, regardless of skin color. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, you know, I'm just a poor old white guy trying to make my way in the world, but last I checked, it was illegal to kill people regardless of the color of your skin. I mean, have we really gone this crazy? Have we really gotten to this point? Because I just don't understand it. I really don't. It's terrifying to me. All right, so at this point, it is about time for us to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we've got lots more audio and lots more things that we need to talk about, and we've already made it halfway through the show. I can't believe that. All right, so when we come back, we have the gentleman who says that it's time to segregate willingly again, and the audio of both Hillary and Trump responding to the Dallas incidents. And you are listening to America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. We'll be right back here in just a couple minutes after we pay some bills.
The leader in talk radio on the internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
All right, folks, we're back. We're live. We're already into the bottom half of the show. My, oh my, where does time go? All right, so as promised, before we get into the two cheeseheads running for POTUS, I actually have about 4 minutes and 42 seconds of audio I want to get through. I backed this up a little bit just to kind of preface it. And again, this was the guy that was doing the questioning for Sean Hannity. I'm going to let you hear this overall exchange, and then I want to talk to you about something that I didn't showcase in the clip, but I thought was kind of telling, because Sean kept asking him to ask a specific question over and over and over again. And to me, it just seemed like the wrong place, wrong time, but I'll let you basically make your own decision up on that. But here we go.
Movement. Some have taken offense to some of the more incendiary things that have said against police, terms like pigs in a blanket. Does this group denounce that?
Listen, man, I was, let's clear the curb. Hey,
Elaborate on the. I'm not hearing the pigs in the blanket. I haven't heard that.
You have not heard that among these protests.
The pig? No, I haven't heard that.
These are things that are being said in other parts of the country.
No, I haven't heard it.
Going in the street.
What? You let me know.
Okay. Well, I have not heard it in this group, but in
Jonathan, they've heard it. Some people heard it
because others have heard it and are asking about it, and they want to know if this group denounces statements such as that. In fact, we have an announcement from the new Black Panther Party says heading to Baton Rouge to protest pig department. Now, granted, the new Black Panther Party is not necessarily affiliated with the Black Lives Matter movement, so let's broaden it out to other groups that are wanting to join this protest. Do you or others in this group denounce statements such as that?
Such as the Black Panthers coming to participate?
No, the new Black Panthers saying that they're going to protest the pig department.
We feel a anger, and if those words are said, it's out of anger. It's out of the situation that we have been put in. Like I said, what's going on in Dallas, there's nothing to justify that. We can't sit there and say, well, that was right, okay? Because then we're sitting here and basically two wrongs can't make a right, okay? If they kill us, we kill them, it's not going to help. We have to sit here and come together and figure out ways to make this situation better. So when it comes down to people saying pigs and everything, yeah, we do agree that is a saying. We believe that police officers are pigs, but not all of them are. So the ones that are, we need to be able to come together and get those that killed Alton Sterling convicted, because those are the pigs. That's the pigs that we're talking about.
How about the presumption of innocence? This is America. These cops fight for the presumption of innocence for everybody.
How do you rectify that? How do you bring this community back together?
It starts, one, like I said, it's a process. One, it starts with being able to get justice for Alton Sterling. Then it comes after. What happens after? Does it blow over like Baltimore? Does it blow over like New York? Does it blow over like LA and Florida? It can't. So what we have to do is start building our own communities. We have to start being able to contribute to our own communities. When we're able to feed to our own people, then that's when we'll start seeing improvement. We're not seeing improvement because we depend on the white dollar. We depend on the white dollar for everything. In the state of Louisiana, where I'm from, a black woman only makes 50 cents on the dollar, whereas a black man makes only 58 cents on the dollar. That's a full-time working black man. It's a full-time working black woman. It's 15. I'll put it like this. I'll break it down even further. To live in the state of Louisiana, it costs $50,000 a year. Black families are only making $15,000. We have to start bringing the black dollar back into our community. Start building our own schools. Start building our own stores, our own banks. Things that we've always had. We've had our banks. We had the black market before. We've had the black stores before. It's time for us to start fighting for something that we need to do for ourselves.
Hey, Jonathan, I have a question.
For me as a black man
question to this guy?
to say, if I wanted to boycott Walmart, Winn-Dixie, Albertsons, where would I go? I can only name a few, and they couldn't supply me with all the same goods that Walmart does. We have to take the sacrifice to move forward. We have to take the sacrifice to start building our communities. When we start taking care of our communities, it's not going to say that they're going to start caring, but it's going to say we're controlling our communities. Like in New Orleans, where they've implemented black cops patrolling them. It's neighborhood patrols. We need to be implementing the same things in our neighborhoods.
Okay.
All right, so I thought it was important that you heard the entire run-up to that and the folks in the background, that you could still hear the palpable anger, but then this guy starts talking about things that I thought were put to bed in the 60s. Started talking about the white dollar. The last I heard, we have an American dollar. The American dollar is colorblind. It doesn't matter if you're white, red, yellow, black, purple with pink polka dots. If you have an American dollar, it's an American dollar. You can spend it anywhere that currency is accepted. So why is it that we now have this subset of Americans that think there are sets of laws for one race that don't apply to another, and that there is another race that needs to, in effect, segregate itself. Start having its own police forces, its own policing, its own stores, its own banks, its own stock market. You heard him talk about the black market and the fact that there was one of those before. I don't remember hearing anything about it in my history books or reading about it in my history books. I'll have to look to see if there ever was actually a separate market for the black community. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what he's saying, but what he's saying is terrifying me. It's back to what I've been talking about throughout this entire show. Our America is fundamentally changing. The one thing that Barack Obama said that he was going to do, that he has done, was fundamentally transform America, and he has. This was supposed to be the progressive utopia. They got a black man in the White House. This was supposed to put every single bit of racial tension, racial divide, all of the above to bed once and for all. This was it. This was the election that was going to solve global warming. It was going to solve the issues with the water. You heard even Barack Obama say that himself, that at some point history would look back and realize this was the time when the tide started to recede. Now, if you think about it as a crackpot thing, you're thinking, oh my God, this guy thinks he controls the water. But let me tell you what I think he thought he was talking about. The tide of racism. He thought it was changing. He thought it was turning. He thought it was receding because he was a black man elected to the highest office in the land. And what has he done with it? What has he accomplished with it? He's attacked police officers more often than he's defended them. He's called them names more often than he stood up for them. And then he has the gall to stand here the night or the day after the Dallas shooting and say, hey, you know what, guys, this was bad. Well, duh. But if you want to know why it's as bad as it is, Mr. President, you need to look in the mirror. And all of you in the media and everywhere else that have been peddling this crap and pushing all of this stuff about how bad the police officers are and how terrible they are and how ill-equipped they are and how badly trained they are, you need to look in the mirror yourselves, because all you're doing is making an already bad situation worse. Look, there are bad people in every profession. I don't care if it's from being a doctor to a lawyer to a police officer to a fry cook. There are bad people in every profession, but we cannot keep focusing on the bad ones and making it look like they're the only ones that are there. There are hundreds of thousands of police officers every day that do everything they can to do their job, do it the right way, and they do it for the right reason. Not for money, not for fame, not for glory, but because they want to serve the public. Ask anybody who's in a first responder capacity what it was they wanted to do when they grew up. I guarantee you a lot of them that are like IMSA workers, firefighters, things like that, that probably wasn't their first choice. Police officers, it might have been. I remember when I was a kid, I told my parents from this pretty much as soon as I could talk, I was going to be a police officer. I was going to carry a badge and a gun. I was going to find a way to make a difference. So some folks, that's what they do until they can't, and then they find other things to do. Or if they're lucky, they get to stay in it for their 20, 25 years, do their job, go home every night, do their best to do nothing but ever shoot at paper targets, get to spend time with their wives, their families, their grandkids, whatever the case may be. But then you have the folks like these guys in Dallas that put a uniform on that day, knowing that when they put that uniform on, they're placing themselves between the public and the bad guys. You know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. There are typically three types of people in the world. There are sheep, sheepdogs, and wolves. Police officers, for the most part, are sheepdogs. These 12, I think it was, final count was 11 officers dead, 1 civilian, I think, maybe, or was it 12? Either way, the officers that put their lives on the line every single day, they deserve your respect. I don't care if your parents raised you to think that the cops were the Antichrist. The police officers that put their lives on the line for you every single day deserve your respect. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to occasionally meet one of the bad ones, because they're there. But I will tell you, as my listening audience, the same thing that I have told my children for decades. If you have an encounter with a police officer, especially if you're in a car, leave your hands on the wheel, leave them where they can see them, and ask them for instructions. The first thing that I always do when I am stopped by a police officer, especially if I have my weapon on my hip, is advise the officer that I have my permit, but I also have a weapon on my right hip. And then I ask the officer, do you want me to exit the vehicle so that you can remove the weapon? So that you can remove the weapon. Let them remain in control of the situation. It's the easiest way to make sure that nothing goes sideways, because as long as they are in control, they don't have a fear reaction. But if you start fidgeting, jerking, reaching for things, especially after you tell them you have a gun, then no one's going to be accountable for your safety. And it really is that simple. And it terrifies me that in this day and age, we still have to have these type of conversations. Because if you're going to have a concealed carry permit and you're going to carry a weapon on your hip, I would assume that you would be responsible enough to not tell a police officer that you have a weapon on your hip and then start making sudden moves. And again, I don't know if that's what happened in this particular instance. I've been told that's what's happened. I haven't actually sat down and watched the video. I don't honestly know if I will, because the 30 seconds I've seen of it that the media has been playing over and over again is enough that it just makes my jaw clench, and then I'm in a bad mood for the rest of the day. But I will tell you, again, you have just as much control over the outcome of a situation when you're dealing with the police as they do. The first thing that you want to do is understand that as long as they are there, then ultimately they need to be the ones that have at least most of the control. Especially if you are carrying a weapon. You need to tell them that you have the weapon, you need to ask them if they want to remove it, and wait for them to give you instructions. It really is just about that simple. That doesn't matter what color your skin is either. It really is just about that simple. Alright, so as promised, before we run out of time, I do want to play the two nozzles that are currently trying to vie for POTUS. We have a kind of a side-by-side comparison of some snips of their statements in regards to the Dallas shooting, and then we'll probably talk about that on the way out.
The massacre of police officers in Dallas now impacting presidential politics. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton offering both condolences and also canceling some appearances.
And some are wondering this morning, will it change the presidential race? ABC's David Wright joins us this morning. Hi, David.
Good morning, Paula. Good morning, Dan. This has effectively hit the reset button on the presidential race, changing the subject from Hillary Clinton's email scandal and Donald Trump's various controversies. Both candidates cleared their campaign schedules, and new priorities now have center stage.
None of us can afford to be indifferent toward each other. Not now, not ever.
Hillary Clinton addressed an AME church convention in Philadelphia, pleading for common ground.
Rebuilding our communities where the police and citizens all see themselves as being on the same side will require contributions from all of us.
Donald Trump took to Facebook.
We must stand in solidarity with law enforcement, which we must remember is the force between civilization and total chaos. The deaths of Alton Sterling in Louisiana and Philando Castile in Minnesota also make clear how much more work we have to do.
To avoid deadly mistakes, Clinton promised $1 billion in federal police training funds, as she told David Muir.
Every single one of our police officers should be trained and retrained in understanding how to avoid force.
Trump promised no new concrete measures yet. The Republican National Convention now just over a week away. Cleveland police officers did extra training on the shores of Lake Erie. Both Trump and Clinton have been talking about some of these issues even before Dallas, but this is one of those times when the news overtakes the political debate and it drives the conversation forward. There is Some common ground here, but different emphasis from the two candidates, and we're going to be hearing a lot more about this.
I'm sure we will, but as of right now, as you said, that what we're hearing is pretty similar
Very
from
similar.
both candidates. That may change, though. David, thank you.
All right, so again, giving credit where credit was due. Actually, if you go back and listen to Trump's entire statement in regards to Dallas PD, it's one of the only times, again, that I'm going to give him credit for basically for once managing to not stick his foot in his mouth. But again, if you listen to Hillary's, it goes back to the same thing that typically it always goes back to. There needs to be more training. There needs to be better understanding. We need people that understand about the disparities between white America and black America. Look, folks, I'm really tired of hearing about all of this. Because, again, I thought this was stuff that got put to bed decades ago. I really did. But, you see all of these tweets coming out ever since the Dallas situation about all these groups that are living in fear. Men live in fear for this reason. Women live in fear so they dress a certain way. Transgender are afraid, so they transform in fear. Gays live in fear. Everybody lives in fear. The problem with that is it's actually a true statement, because if you really get down and you think about it, everybody's afraid of something. But the issue is, what are you going to do about that fear? And what I've seen for the last 7 years is a nation that has allowed itself to begun to be led by fear. It's the reason we now find ourselves with two of the worst choices possible for President of the United States. Any year when we could have had a clear, concise, conservative frontrunner for president, we have Donald Trump. And I don't care what your political persuasion is. If you try to tell me Donald Trump is a conservative, I will tell you that you're a liar. And I say that knowing that there are people that are with such groups formerly as Navy SEALs, who I've heard on other talk shows talking about how they're going to vote for Trump because they know in their heart that he's a conservative. I tell you, if you believe that, then you have been misled. Donald Trump is not a conservative. Just because he can occasionally say the right things and trot out what he needs to trot out to get people to hear him and believe him and think that he's the right choice, that does not make him a conservative. And yeah, he's had a couple of correct points over the last couple of weeks. He really has. When he was talking about Obama using Air Force One to help Hillary campaign. And now when he started talking about the fact that we need to stand behind our law enforcement. Both of those are completely true statements. But now he's billing himself as the law and order candidate. So now we're going to have to find out whether or not that actually works. But the thing about it is, the guy who was billing himself as the law and order candidate is currently embroiled in a couple of lawsuits, which doesn't necessarily make him the law and order candidate. All right, well, believe it or not, folks, we are out of time. My, oh my, where does the time go? All right, so tomorrow night we'll be back here at our old usual time, 10 Eastern, 9 Central, with the Jen and Rick Show, another offering of America Off the Rails Radio. And then here in just a moment, as soon as I go off the air, you will have the Rhino Report up next. And then, of course, things kick off again tomorrow morning with God's Pure Word of Faith at 7. Then we have Rod Eccles, if he does a show, from 8 to 11. Conservative Commando from 11 to 1. And the hits just go on and on and on. On that note, folks, I am out for the night. Until I see you again, just remember, it's time to get involved somehow, some way. Put down the remote, get off the couch, find a way to make a difference, and most of all, support your local law enforcement, because right now they need it. I'll be back with you tomorrow night. God bless.
Everything you earn by breaking your backs, we're gonna redistribute when we make our pay tax. Hey, sit down.
Screw you guys. I'm going home. Later.
Game over, man. It's game over.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.